Hey guys, this is Dinosaur and today I'm gonna show you how to draw MechaGodZilla. But before we're gonna start off the video, of course, make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell so that you won't miss a single video. So if you don't know already, there's been a leak from some toys and some merch, which at this point kind of confirms that MechaGodZilla is going to be in Kong versus or Zilla versus Kong. So yeah, right, let's get into the video. Alright, so I'm gonna try keep it as simple as I can, but I still wanna get something good in a short amount of time. Right, so what we are gonna start off with is drawing the line for his spine, and then we're gonna make some boxes and kind of figure out how his body works in a three-dimensional space. Alright, so we wanna get the shape right. So we're just gonna focus on his spine first. Just a curved line this way. Then over here we get into his hip area, going to his tail, and his tail goes like this. And then it slightly goes up. And I'll have to check if you can see it on camera. Something like that. Yeah, you can see it pretty good on camera actually. I did not expect that. So attached to his spine we will have his head. So his head will be kind of over here. So if you're gonna draw this circle, make sure that you draw the spine, you draw like the way that the spine is on top of the circle, so it can just sit right here, because that's in real life how it works. Alright, so now we have to figure out how this works in three-dimensional space. So we're gonna start with his hip area. So his hip area is kind of, we can make sort of like a box. So it's facing this way, sort of. Or maybe a little bit more straight. So this is kind of his hip area. Now we want to go to his lower back. Goes like this. His upper back. And this area would be his neck. And as you can see, the shape is changing a little bit as we go along. So now to make this three-dimensional, you're going to add some more lines and make it like a real kind of boxy shape. So this is basically what the shape of his body will sort of look like. And as you can see, the shape of the box changes sometimes, and that's just me making some mistakes and errors, because I'm not really good at this way of drawing, but I'm doing it so that it's easier to understand the three-dimensional shapes and everything to kind of explain it in a better way. He looks very slender at the moment, but that's all gonna be fine, because well, we could make his belly a little bit bigger, like this, and then make it more like that. So this way, it's just a little bit bigger. All right. So now for his tail, we want to do kind of the same thing. So we want to follow the line of his spine and create something that looks like a tail. And it looks very thin at the moment, but that's okay because it's all going to be changing. We're all going to be, it's going to be tweaked and perfected at the final stages. So I'm not going to go further into his tail right here. You could just continue on drawing his tail. And the way that I'm doing this with my light, by the way, is I've got my light set up right here. And that makes it hard for me to see because all the other lights are off right now, so you can only see a very bright blue slash white light. And if I draw like this, I cannot see what I'm doing because of the shadow. Not sure if you guys can see what I'm doing then. No. Alright, so that's kind of something to pay attention to. Alright, I already made a mistake, so make sure you don't copy this. So it has kind of a curve right here, and it curves straight up. So it just follows the line of the spine that we already drew in, and it just goes up, it curves up. And then over here, kind of do the same thing, but it gets a little bit wider over here because of the fact that the tail is going to be closer. So well, yeah, we're gonna have, it's gonna be in perspective, it's gonna be bigger. So I might have made it a little bit too narrow, this tail, but we will save it. So like right over here, we're already tweaking it a little bit, and we're already changing it up to look more accurate. Alright, so now for his, we're gonna start with his right arm. So what he has kind of like a shoulder area right here, and his shoulder starts over here, it goes out like this, and then it goes like this. So now we've already kind of boxed in his shoulder area right there, and then his arm, his upper arm, goes back like this till about over there. I'm gonna box it in already like this, and it's also going to become bigger once it gets closer to the camera. So that's his upper arm already. Now we want to draw his lower arm. His lower arm, we're going to start it off right here. Let's do it like this. So there's going to be a little bit of space between the boxes in his limbs, but that's okay. I mean, that's not too bad. I'm going to change the angle to this. It's a little bit more accurate. And of course you keep hearing background noises as normal because of course my dog is very noisy. Alright, and as well as we want to have the perspective right, so this part is going to get very close to the camera in comparison with his upper arm, so we want to make it go a little bit more out like this. It's gonna be more like so normally you would draw like this, just straight lines next to each other, right? But now what we're gonna do, we're gonna start over here we're going to go outwards like this, and this way it looks like it is coming towards us, as you can see. Not sure if you could see it actually. Yeah, alright. So I need to make sure that you guys can see everything because of the way that I set up my camera, and I keep forgetting that you guys cannot see everything. So I need to make sure that I remember where to draw and where not to draw. Alright, so that's basically the start of his arm. Now we want to do the same thing like his shoulder area, but now we want to do it on the opposite side. So we want to draw, start drawing over here. Do the same thing, create the same kind of shoulder shape, but we can see a little bit more of it, so its surface is a little bit bigger. Make it a little bit bigger over here as well. This way it's a little bit better, I guess. Right? But now his arm goes out like this. Like that. So that's his upper arm. His lower arm is going to start right here, but we want to have, of course, a little bit of space between the like the joints, so we can actually do the joints. His lower arm is going to be like this, just a tiny little bit longer than this one. At least it looks longer. It's not longer in reality, but that's because of the angle that it's in. So if you would draw like a log or something, and it was just laying like this, it's going to look larger or longer than if you would draw it like at an angle where it's coming towards you. Like that. So if you're drawing perspectives, that is something that you need to look at and kind of remember. So I'm actually explaining that you need to make it look longer, and I'm actually making it look shorter. That's my fault. Alright, so it's gonna look a little bit longer, like I said, like that. Now we want to start focusing on doing his legs, and he has kind of a hip area right here, right next to his elbow. And it goes like this, so it isn't at an angle. Not sure if you can see it very clearly. I'm trying to make it look as clear as I can. I made a little bit of a mistake right here. Let me correct it a little bit. Right, so it is angled like this. This is kind of what you can see from it. It's not much. Not sure why the shape is like the way that it is, but yeah. Alright. My dog making noises again. Alright, so now we want to draw his hind leg. So this one is going to be quite large. So we want to draw another box, but this time his knee will be about over here. Let's see, and it's at an angle like this. So this is the side of his leg, and this is the back side of his leg. And it's sort of getting closer to the camera, so it's getting a little bit bigger. Now his his lower leg, or I'm not sure how to call it. Let me know in the comments if you know how to pronounce it right. So now we want to draw a box that goes like this. This one's gonna be a little bit shorter as well. And one over here as well. And again, this is coming closer to us, so it's getting a little bit bigger. It's also because of the way that it is very big, Godzilla, or MechaGodZilla in this case. So that means that parts that are higher up in the air are further away from us. So his hip area would be over here, but it's very hard to see, to be honest. And try and replicate what you just did over here as well. This hip, kind of a sticking out something, not sure what you could call it. So again, draw a line like that, a line like this. There's not much that you can see from this leg, because it's just, you can barely make out the detail on the side over here. So this is the side of his leg over there, and then there is a line that goes down like this. So this is his knee over there. Maybe I made it a little bit too large, because this part is getting farther away from us, and this part is getting a little bit closer again. So in the reference photo, his tail is up a lot higher, which makes it look a lot more dynamic. So I'm gonna erase his tail. So again, this is why you never press down too hard on your pencil when you're doing a tutorial. Well, my tutorials at least, because my tutorials are very messy, all over the place. And yeah. Alright, so his tail goes over here, it goes like this. Then it just goes up over here and stops right there. Yeah, so this is also why you don't press down too hard on your pencil in the early stages of your drawing, is also because of the fact that we want to try and get it as close as we can. But the problem is that whenever you don't get something right, you need to go back and adjust it, just tweak it a little bit. And if you press down too hard on your pencil, you will see those pencil marks even when the drawing is finished, and we are not aiming for that. So, alright, I'm just gonna do it like this. I'm gonna make this tail be very long, very large as well, because again it is the part of his body that is closest to the camera at the moment. So it might look strange and not correct, but eventually it will start to look more natural. So we can barely see the side of his leg right there. We're not gonna draw his feet because there's not really too much known about his feet at the moment. Okay, so now we need to focus on drawing his head. So his head it goes a little bit up right here. So we have two of those areas to go a little bit like that. And then it goes out, just a flat area. Well, we could just box it in literally. So let's see. He is kind of at an angle, so you can kind of see the upper part of his head a little bit. So it should look sort of like this. I didn't make it exactly right, but yeah. It is close enough. So there we have the part of his snout. And we'll have another part of his snout right there. Alright, so that's basically the upper part. The snout might be a little bit longer. Like that. And then we want to draw in the lower part, like his lower jaw. And his lower jaw goes like this. Just draw a straight line. Just have something like this over here. And then draw a straight line down. About the same length as this line over here. And then just connect that to the shape that you just drawn right there. Alright, so let's see for how long we are recording. 27 minutes already. I might have a couple of time-lapse areas in this video, but I think we will be fine. So now, in the reference photo, it looks like he is actually holding something. So we can see one finger right here. It goes like this. And then it goes like this. And then we can also see another finger right here. Goes like this. And then it goes like this. But over here it seems like he has no more fingers, and what I think is happening right here is he is holding like a huge piece of stone or a rock or something. But yeah, that's my opinion. I'm not sure about that. We'll just have to see. Just have to wait and see in the actual movie. But the reason I think this is because over here he does have 3 fingers. And he actually has 4, but one of them is kind of behind the other ones. So we're just gonna draw a shape like this. Just like that. And attached to that is going to be one finger over here. is almost closing, right, like this. One over here that is angled towards us a little bit. Another one right here. And then there would be another one right here, but we cannot see it very clearly. Something like that, which would give him 4 fingers. I might have actually drawn this one a little bit too large, but you can just go like that, or maybe just make it a little bit shorter. So notice that these fingers are bigger than these ones. That's because this one is closer to us. Alright, this looks a little bit better. So now all we have to do is well, draw like a center line on his back, just like his spine. We're gonna draw his spine on his back. We can press down a little harder, not too hard, just a tiny little bit harder than what we were doing at the early sketching phases. And this one goes like this. So that's his spine, and his spine kind of goes all the way through over there. And now we want to draw a second line just right next to the outer line of the boxes, like right over there. That's the outer line. I'm gonna draw a second line a little bit like this, and again you can press down a little bit harder, and this line kind of ends right here. And do the same thing on the other side as well. And over here it is going behind everything else, so that's fine. Okay, so now we have the most basic shapes boxed in to draw MechaGodZilla. What we want to do now is we want to erase everything just slightly, and then we want to flesh in everything. So let's do that right now. Just so that you can barely see the lines, but you can still see them. That way it will be easier to put in your detail at the right areas. Alright, so something like this. What we want to start doing now is GodZilla has, well, or MechaGodZilla in this case, has 3 rows on his back, and then just 1 row on his tail of huge spines, or huge plates, whatever you'd like to call them. So we want to draw the first line that we just drew right here. So that's the one right next to the outer line of the box. Then we're gonna draw the middle spines. These are gonna be the largest ones. They will even go on until his tail. Alright, so we want to start drawing some shapes like this. So over here they are angled this way. They are still pretty large. Let's make sure that I stay on that line. But when they are starting to get closer to us, they start to be at a different angle, and we can see the top of them, the top of every spine. Like over here, they're starting to get at a different kind of angle, and they are starting to angle outwards a little bit more over here. Yeah, I've got a lot of huge like, well, I'm not sure how to pronounce that, so I'm not even gonna try it, but like those machines that work on the farmlands and stuff, they drive around here a lot, so that's what you might be hearing 90% of the time. Right, so we're gonna stop right here because these triple spines don't go further than this part. They just stop here, and then it just goes over to single rows of spines. Right, so now we want to start doing the real big ones. So there's gonna be one over here, which is pretty big, to be honest. And also make sure that you angle them the right way. So I'm still sketching at this point because this is the first this is the first time that I'm drawing them on this drawing, and I want them to be right, you know. So over here as well, they start to angle sort of differently. They start to have a different kind of angle on them. This is a very hard part, and I can imagine that a lot of you guys will have a lot of trouble this area drawing this part. Alright, and now we want to make sure that we keep on going with these spines, because we are going to go into his tail. And now we actually want to start off from over here. I actually do want to erase this area because I came down a little bit too much with the spines. So now, like I said, we want to start off over here. I'm going to start drawing those, and they're gonna be really big over here in this area. So make sure you get that right. Like, you can see how big they are. They're really, really large over here. And again, we will eventually start to get at an area where they are angled at a different way, like right over here. So this is why I wanted to start drawing from the tail, because now we are gonna get different kinds of rows that are sort of overlapping each other. As you can see. Alright, so this looks about spine, I would say. Or maybe because we want to have it dynamically posed, what we could do, oh, I just bumped the camera a little, we could make it look like they are angled that way. And this is also accurate actually. I just looked at the reference photo and this is accurate to the reference photo. So now we want to draw in the final row of those huge plates, and over here they're gonna be better visible because the line that they are positioned on is a little bit more to the outside of it. And they are all angled to kind of, they're all angled out, I would say. So yeah, this is about accurate. Alright, so that's basically his spines. So now we can start to flesh in everything. I might do this in time lapse again because I could give you guys instructions on how to do everything, but at this point you have everything basically mapped out already, so it's not really, the need isn't too high for having a detailed description of how to do everything, except for this area because there is kind of a, it almost looks like a stinger coming out of his tail. So his tail right here is kind of, it looks like this, and then it goes inwards a little bit and then outwards again because of the way that these spines work, because we have another row over here, but we're gonna get into that later. But it looks like he has a stinger over here, with a lot of serrated edges. Which is also not really sharp, but I can imagine that something as big as this, it doesn't really have to be very sharp. Yes, well, let's refine this a little bit. Yes, something like this right here. Make sure you get that as well. Alright, I'm just gonna keep talking just in case I don't want it to be in a time lapse. So like I said, we mapped everything out, and I'm gonna start at his tail because that's the farthest left of the page. So yeah, now I wanna kind of figure out the three-dimensional shape of his tail. It kind of goes like this. So this whole area will be the underside of his tail, and basically he has a couple of things that go like this, sort of. I wouldn't say it's exactly parallel, well it is kind of parallel to the spines that he has on his back. So yeah, I kind of messed up, so I'm gonna do it a tiny little bit differently. So make sure you make good use of your help line areas that we already put into map every part of MechaGodZilla. What we want to do now, sort of get the rest of his body mapped in, of course. So he has a shoulder patch right here. It goes like this. And then it goes like that. So his shoulder is a little bit larger than what we mapped in. He also has like an area that goes in like this, like what we already have. Then this area goes like this. We have a huge thing right here. Yeah, so it's basically just going over the lines, but just put in a little bit more detail than we already have. So he has two huge plates right there with 4 bolts on it in each. It's also angled a little bit. We're not gonna pay too much attention to everything because a lot of it will be shadowed in. This area is supposed to go down a little bit more like this. And we could just put an extra line right there. We are going to focus on his hip as well, so it looks like he has something protruding from the body right there. And we're just gonna make sure that it looks three-dimensional. And then we want to start to draw in his upper leg or his femur. Over here he has a couple of protruding areas that go out of this, like just a little bit more detail and everything. I'm not being very precise with everything, but making sure that it looks sort of accurate to what I'm seeing. And right here, so this area goes like this, and then right here we have his lower leg. Or I'm just gonna say this part of his leg because I'm pretty sure that's not accurate the way I'm saying it. So that's also kind of a plate right there. And there's a line right there that goes like this, and there are a little bit of detail on it. We have something over there. What you could do to just get some more detail into your drawing is draw some not every drawing, but when you're drawing a robot like what I'm doing right now, what I'm constantly doing is I'm just constantly trying to put on some boxes on them. Really, that's just the way that how I'm doing it right now. And with the shadow and everything, it's gonna look fine, I think. So this leg is this long, but there are a couple of areas that are protruding a little bit, like his hip right here. You can basically see an area protruding. And then there's something that looks like a box on top of it. yeah, there's not much that we can actually see because of the fact that, again, this is completely darkened in on the reference photo, so you cannot see much of it. Over here there's just this huge thing right here, and I'm guessing this is where his foot starts, but again, I'm not gonna draw his foot because there's a lot of, it's very unclear. So now for his left arm, you want to draw in a line like that, and then draw a line like this over here, and then there's another line that goes like this, and that's basically all you can see, sort of, because the rest of it is almost completely darkened. So we're just gonna try and draw as much detail on it as we can now, because we will get to a part where I don't know anymore what to put on it, because I'm not great at drawing robots, but yeah. By the way, I made a mistake by not getting this arm at the right angle, so this arm is supposed to angle that way a little bit more, but I think it's fine. Doesn't really matter too much, because we can never get, well, you could get it perfect, but it would take a lot more time, and I want to keep it as short as I can. Okay, so now we want to, I would say, by the way, that his head would be, it's a little bit different, because it's a little bit more elongated than what I did for his head. So I'm gonna draw a line like this, and then another line right next to it, right beside it. So that's gonna be the top of his head, and then we're gonna draw the same kind of box that we did before. I'm just gonna go over it now. We're also gonna draw the snout, which is also elongated pretty much, not too much, I would say. Alright, that looks a little bit better. And then of course we would have to make the whole boxy shape. Like that. Right, that's accurate. Looks accurate. And then we're gonna make this one just a little longer, just as long as this line right there, and then an angle like that. And we're just going to connect that to the rest of his neck and body. Alright, so now let's actually get into his tail a little bit more. So we want to have a couple of lines just go like this. And they go outwards like this. Just keep them going outwards like this. And just keep on going for the whole entire body, just like this, even for his neck as well. Alright, so let's see what it looks like on camera. So that looks pretty okay in my opinion. So now comes the hard part. Well, actually, let's first make sure that we get this in as well. And I should make the parts that are closest to us a little darker. So this is already dark enough, but like right over here, I made this area a little bit too dark in my opinion. But in comparison with the rest of the drawing, it has to look comparable, right? So we're gonna make a line that goes right in between those kind of spine looking things. You might want to draw a line over here as well, just to indicate where the spiny lines and the wrinkly lines on his toe separate from each other. Now let's go over this a little bit. Alright, let's not make it too dark. Okay, yeah, it definitely looks like he's holding something right here. But yeah, let's just erase this boxy head a little bit and start to get in a good looking head. So this area is pretty accurate. We want to have the top of his head to be visible. Also we want to have part of his snout to be visible as well. So that's pretty, we can leave it like that. That's pretty okay. But now the shape of his jawline comes in. So it goes straight back right over here, then it goes a little bit more up. We have a bump right here, goes all the way back to the back side of his jaw, and then his bottom jaw begins to take form. So we have a little line like right over there. We have a line that goes like this, go down, a lot like what you would see in a T-Rex, and then it goes straight to the end of his jaw. And it is angled like this over here. And you might want to draw in his eye as well, which is located right here. Alright, so now all we have to do is go over everything and make it look, well, I'm gonna erase everything once more, just slightly, and then I'm gonna go over everything to make everything look a little bit like it's gonna look a little bit better. So that's gonna be in time lapse, by the way. Alright. About completely finished. The only thing that we still need to do is add a little bit of shadow, and I'm also going to do that part in time-lapse because it's pretty easy actually. So basically every part that is facing us, or like, well, almost facing us kind of in a way, for example, this is going to be sharp, darkened because it's facing us. No, so, and this is going to be a highlight because it's not completely facing us. So in that way we can add shadow everywhere. I don't really have to give you guys instructions on that. You'll just have to see where I put my shadows, and then you can kind of replicate it. So yeah, see you at the end of the video. Yep, that looks pretty decent to me. So his head is actually a lot darker. You cannot really see the darkness of the top of the drawing because of the way that I've got my camera set up again. I mean, like, not the camera but the light. So if I move the light around, you can see that some areas become lighter and some areas become darker. That's one of the downsides of having just one well, lamp, if you could say it like that. One light. Alright, but I think the drawing turned out pretty good in my opinion. The only downside that I have is that it's a little bit thinner than the real MechaGodZilla on my reference, so the MechaGodZilla would be a lot wider. Might actually be because I played a little bit too much with perspectives and stuff, and but again, I mean, I'm still learning, and I hope I actually helped some of you guys out with how to draw MechaGodZilla. So yeah, if you like the video, leave a like, comment below what you think about the drawing and the video in general, and don't forget to subscribe. So this was Dinosaur, and goodbye.